Hey guys, welcome back to CheatSheetPros.com. I want to go over and do a quick, somewhat tutorial on the college hoops betting sheet and look at the 5 top 25 games from yesterday and show you how I look at the sheet and what I use to pick up plays. Hopefully you got our free play we posted yesterday. I kind of splattered it everywhere. This is the game that I posted in our free Facebook group. I put it on Reddit, Twitter, everywhere else. So this game, Illinois and Rutgers, the over-under I noticed on it was 141.5. You can see our custom model, which I go by up here, we had it at 157. So that's a significant difference. So I posted this and put free play over 141.5, and it ended up getting, where did we go? It was 91.88, so 160, 170, almost 180 points. So it cruised over. That was an easy win. So if you want to join our free Facebook group, I occasionally put plays and sheets and stuff in there. Instead of trying to list it out, here it is. It's just your normal facebook.com. And then you got your /group/ and it's Haze Sheets, Haze. So I'll leave that up for a second. This is our free group if you want to join it. We do a lot of chats on there. I'll post free plays, DFS stuff, sports betting picks. If there's a game I really like, I'll put it in there. We also do have a premium group that you can sign up for on the website at CheatSheetPros.com. It's only $13 a month or $35 for a quarter. And then that gets you all of our cheat sheets for every sport and NBA and college and stuff. I post those every day. Football is usually once, twice a week. And whatnot, but that is our free group, and we do have a premium group. So this is the college football sheet. The last couple of years, I've kind of had one at the middle end of the season, but there's so many games it was hard for me to go back and look at it. But this is one that I really liked and I spent a lot of time on, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a look at it. So while we're here on this Illinois game, and I've already got it plugged in, when we're looking at the sheet here, there's a lot of information on it. This down here is just some of the definitions. Basically, I get a lot of questions, so this is going to eliminate some of those questions. This area down here I use for different calculations and testing, so you can look at it, not pay attention to it. Either way is fine. These are the stats you want to look at over here on the right. And then I've got our power rankings, and we can see the record, their overall ranking, their last 5-game ranking, and the strength of schedule ranking, to give you an idea if they've played anyone good, if they've had a hard schedule, easy schedule. And then here, our stat category, it basically just breaks out like the power advantage, who's got the highest power ranking, and then it lists the team, and then it's got the gap. So you can quickly, if you don't want to look at specific numbers, I'm a visual person, so you can look here and be like, boom, okay, Illinois' gaps aren't terrible, somewhat close. Over here, we got points per game, allowed points per game. If you don't like using points per game, we got offensive and defensive efficiency, season last 3, home and away. We have possessions per game. We have the average scoring margin, home away, season last 3, turnovers, opponent turnovers, the EPR, effective possession ratio. So, and you can Google what these are, but we have a whole bunch of stats you can look at over here. And then up here, this is the main area we're going to look. So up here, these are the two teams. We have two different spread calculations. We have our spread, what we were going to calculate it at. If we were blind and we put something together, this is how we're calculating the spread. If you're looking at a little more extreme spread that factors in turnovers, possessions, and everything, we have a secondary one, and I just call this the extreme spread. So I'm going to look at this one. This one I'm going to take with a grain of salt. But what I'm really looking at is right here. Now here on the bottom, you can see across all of these models what we have the winning team winning by. So we've got 3, 2, other team 2, and 1. So you can see this is projected to be a tight game. The first model and the main model I'm going to look at is this custom model. This is the one, you can see I kind of grade these out so your eyes focused on this one. So this is going to show you a good total, a good projected spread. And then I'm also going to glance over here, and these should be similar, but sometimes they flip and they differ. And then the EPR model, this is using this effective possession ratio down here. There's a lot of factors that go into that one, and I've noticed that it's coming up low. So don't look at the total here, but look at the spread. So this is going to show maybe a side advantage. So on this game, we've got Illinois winning by 2, but then this one has them losing by 2, so there's a flip here. And then this factor of 72. So basically what this is, a guy with roto grinders, I tried to go back and find his name. He had a theory on there to where when you're projecting pace and possessions in a game, if you take the average or you find a number, and if both teams are above that, this game's going to play a lot quicker and you can bump up their possessions. And if both teams are under that number, it's going to lower it. So that's kind of what I've done with this factor of 72. I'm using 72 possessions per team, and that's the average out of the top 150, 200 schools. So the average of 72 is basically saying, okay, like for this game, the reason we like the over, the possessions per game, you can see on the season, they're 77, 74, last 3, 79, 72. And then this is our generic kind of projected possessions. And what it's doing, it's taking the season, the last 3, and the road possessions for the away team, and then season, last 3, and home for the away team, and it's kind of dividing it out. And so we're taking this top one, so we're projecting 75.7 possessions. And then I have this secondary win just because when I ran this sheet early, some teams didn't have any home games, away games, some haven't played. So then if not, it just takes these, the season, the last 3, and then puts it down here. So we have 2 different projections. And then we're going to come over here, and these are kind of how we calculate our stuff, our weight. We skew stuff for strength of schedule and power ratings and whatnot. But without getting in the details of that, looking at the possessions, so we're going to come over here at this 75.7 and 79. Well, here, let's see which one. Let's just say this, 75.7, let's round it up to 76. So we're projecting over the average of 72. So we're going to give each team a bump in pace that's going to cruise that up. So we're going to bump this up to 79.4 possessions instead of the 75.7. And then once you factor that in across our other stats, we come up with this 83 to 82, so about 165 points. And then if you come up here, that's basically what this factor of 72 is. I kept it down here in case I wanted to tweak it. But factor of 72 is going to change the possessions. But this is a good total to look at for overs and unders. So for example, this over-under, like we said, was 141.5. As soon as I saw these possessions and bumping them up, sorry, it's early, and then I saw this at 165. So 141 to 165 is a huge disparity. So that's why I posted this, said, hey, this is the best play on the board. This is my favorite one. I really like it. And you can see over here that they end up putting up a massive amount of points. It was 91-88 with no overtime. So that's one thing to look at for the totals. So when we're looking at the custom model, and then we got the factor 72, and then we got the EPR, which is, you can see this is low for the totals, but even it went over the 141. So that's a huge factor there. So we have all 3 models going over. And then I just did an average. If I've got one where this has Illinois winning, this one has Rutgers winning, and then we've got the possession model, I just want to look at an average and say, okay, well, across the board, if I'm just generically looking at this game, what are we looking at? And so we had 79 to 78, so basically a tight game. So I'm not looking at this saying, hey, if this spread is 2, okay, I'm going to bet Rutgers at +2. I'm just saying, hey, it's close. I don't like it either way. It's probably a pass for me. And so you can see this game down here. Rutgers end up winning by 3, 91 to 88. And we had Illinois winning by 1. So we had a tight game. And I can't remember what the side spread on that game was for the 2 ranked teams, but the total's the one that jumped out at me. The side one, we had tight games. So even if the spread was 4 or 5, me personally, I'm staying away from it. And then over here, the points per game, I just totaled these up down here so you can see the 2 teams for the season, 2 teams last 3, like what they're averaging, and then what they're allowing on defense, so you can get kind of an idea of where the game is headed. So that was the main game that I posted on our basically everywhere for a free pick. And I want to go ahead and look at these other games real quick. So let's go ahead and look at Oklahoma State and Texas. So if you've never seen the sheet before, you click into the box, and then you have to go down here and find the team. Oklahoma State, and then Texas is an easy one. You can type that one in. So you can click it in, do the drop down, or you can type it in. So here what I'm looking at are our custom model. We've got Texas winning by 3. Texas was laying 6.5 in this game. And so I'm looking at this saying, hey, you know, we don't have a blowout. We've got Texas winning by 3. We got Texas winning by 3. Texas winning by 2. Average across the board, Texas winning by 2. And you can see down here that Texas ended up winning by 3. So tight game, 6.5 point spread. If you were going to do that, I would have leaned Oklahoma State because we had it at such a tight game, but that would have been a fade for me. The over-under was 141.5. So when we're looking at the possessions here, we're slightly over the average, and you can see this is also bumping it up to almost 76 because both teams are going to project this over. And then at 141.5, you can see here we're over, here we're over, here we're close, average we're slightly over. So if you wanted to play the over, I could definitely get there and see where you would pick that game. But if you said, hey, that's too close, I'm looking for games with a huge disparity, I could definitely see that as well. So the 141, this game did get over 151 total points. So this factor of 72 model actually was right on the dot. I just noticed that. So we had Texas 77-74, and the final here was 77-74. So that one was like right on the money. And this one was pretty close too at 147. So let's go ahead and take a look at this next game. And oh, not Houston. So let me plug in UConn here. I think there's over 300 teams in here with all the schools. All right, so Creighton and UConn. I'm not sure if Creighton, that's how you pronounce it, but anyways, I'm going to go with it. So in this game, the spread was Creighton minus 4.5. So here we had them winning by 5, so barely covering the spread. Here we had them winning by 6, also barely covering. And here we had a scenario where UConn actually took the game by 1. So you can glance across here and see it's supposed to be a tight game. That's kind of what they're projecting it at. And then with this, since we're going back and forth, I'm just going to look at the average here, 79-76. The final ended up being 76-74, but that was with 16 points in overtime. So the total on this one was 144.5, which it went over, but it was because of overtime. So if you take those away, then that's going to knock it down in the low 140s, which is kind of where this EPR was sitting. But this is a game, if you wanted to go with the over, I probably would have got there because, I mean, it's sitting at 144.5. And right here we got 161, 161. The teams are averaging between 163 and 169. They're allowing a lot less points, but that's a play that I could have got to the over and agreed with you there. The possessions were jumping from 72 to 73, so we're really not getting a big boost in the possession game. And so over here we got 72.7, and so we're going to put them at 73.3. So that's not big enough over 72 to really love the over and think it's going to go back and forth, high-paced game. So I would say this is probably one that I would have leaned on a play. Now, it did win, but it was because it went into overtime. So I'd say we got lucky on that play. And if it would have finished the other way, it would have been a slight loss or close to a loss, just kind of depending on how things played out. Now, let's look at this Houston-Alcorn State game. Houston, and this is a game I had posted in our chat that I like the first half. So over here we can see our projected spread is 34. I think when I posted it, the spread was 30. It closed at 34, 34.5. Some people had 32, some had 33. Our extreme spread is basically Houston by 45. They were just such a massive. You can see the last 5-game power ranking, 6 versus 347, but they've only played 1 game, so take that with a grain of salt. But you can see clearly Houston has everything here. They're a much better team. And then what I really like about the possessions is 76, we're going to bump this to 80.2, so we should get a lot of points in this game, but you got to worry about Alcorn State being able to score. So you can see this one ended up being 88-55, so They covered if you got 30, 31, but if you got 34, 34 and a half, they did not cover. And so we had this sitting here at 30, 32, 31, 36, and 33. So if you just look at the average here, we had 86 to 53. It ended up being 88 to 55. So the average was almost spot on right there. So we had it really close to the spread. So when I posted our pick, I said, hey, I would lean first half on this. It's probably going to be somewhere around that 15 mark. And they were up 35 to 18. I don't know what the exact number was, but it either covered or was really close to covering. I did not actually bet it. With NFL going on, there was a lot going on yesterday. And then let me look at one more game here, and I can wrap this up. So we got Michigan State. Michigan State and Northwestern. All right, so this game here, looking at it, both spreads are about the same. We had Northwestern by 3 to 4 points. The Factor 72 model, we had a huge bump on, put them up to 185 points. Custom model, we had them about 170, so there's a big difference here that it's calculating. And then the EPR model, we had them down to 160. So when I'm looking at this, I can see, so the side is the same. So we've got Northwestern by 3 or 4 points all the way across the board. Average model, we've got about 165 points. We got it at a high of about 185, an average of about 170, and a low of 160. So this is a game that, let's see, the total on it was 149.5. So if you're looking at a total, yeah, I probably would have leaned the over here. It ended up being 65 to 79, so that's what's that, 120, 130, 140. All right, so it got there, was really close to getting there. But what I wanted to look at was the spread. So we had Northwestern winning this on all three models. So we had it on the high model with a lot of possessions of 94 to 90, and then we had them winning 87, 84, 82, 79. And if you just want to look at the average, since there's so much disparity between the three, this is always the one you want to look at. So 88, 84, we had them winning by 3. Northwestern was plus 7.5. So you could have got them at home plus 7.5 in this game, and we had them winning the game outright. And they end up winning, you can see over here, 79 to 65. So I thought that was pretty good. But anyways, that is the sheet. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. And I usually post this. I try to update it every 2 days. I'm trying to do it every day now because I'm on vacation from work for the week due to Christmas week. But anyways, it's December 21st, 2020, and this is our NCAA Hoops Betting tutorial and look back for the games on December 20th. Typically, when I look back on games, I'm going to look at top 25 games just because there are so many. It's hard to factor out all the little schools and look through, 60 games that played. So I'm going to stick with a lot of top 25 games if I post a play or something that I do like. And if you want to give us a shot and play with this sheet, feel free to sign up. I'd be happy to answer any questions for you. And good luck, guys.